Hello everybody. Thank you all for tuning in and thanks for watching our live stream. Right now we're standing on a stage where Parsifal is being rehearsed, and in approximately I think 5 minutes, when the rehearsal has finished, we are going to interview Marc Albrecht. And Marc Albrecht, he's the chief conductor of Dutch National Opera and of the Netherlands Philharmonic Orchestra. Parsifal is the last opera composed by Wagner. It's a great masterpiece. It has been performed here in 2012, and because it was such a great success, they're gonna take it to the stage again. And just now I talked to Marie-José, which is the stage manager during this production, and she said it was okay if I show you guys what she's actually doing as a stage manager. So if you come with me. Hello, sorry to disturb you. What kind of rehearsal are you doing right now?
Today we do a Sitzprobe, and that means that the orchestra and the singers are together for the first time. So normally they sit on a chair and play and sing, but now we do it in the set, so everybody can do their walk and he can do all the directions, and people are off stage singing, so we combine that. So it's not a real proper Sitzprobe. It's kind of a half probe.
And can you tell me what your role as a stage manager is? What do you do backstage when they are performing?
We are there from the beginning, so we know the production from the start, and we guide the rehearsals. We write down all the props, costume, technical stuff, all the notes for what we have to do during the performance. And all the departments who work here are not in the rehearsal, so they get the information. And in the performance we make sure that everybody does what he has to do.
And that's why you have this microphone for.
We talk to everybody, and everybody has this kind of cue lists, and everybody knows when to go and when the lights should change and when the entrances are or the scene changes. Or
so you're actually the time director or something like that?
Yes, and make sure that everything on the music happens exactly on the note it has to happen.
Is it nerve-wracking sometimes?
Sometimes, yes, but that's nice too.
Well, I think we have to move to the next place because Marc Albrecht will be finished in a few minutes. So I'm gonna see you later, and I think you will be watching the rehearsal for a couple of minutes. See you later.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Nice evening. Thank you. It was a long and good day.
Here we are. For the people who just tuned in, if you have some questions, you can drop them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to ask them for you later. Well, Marc, so nice of you to be here.
Sure.
We heard you are rehearsing very hard for Parsifal. How is it going so far?
Actually, it's just a big fun to rehearse this piece. It's so beautiful, and everybody investing a lot of emotions, and is great to approach this work. So it's going well. We just started today on stage. That's always a special day because chorus, orchestra, they were preparing in different locations, not here in the pit. First time orchestra is today in the pit, in the Bach. That's different.
Were you nervous for today?
No. We know the business and we know that we have to adjust basically everything. What we rehearsed so far has to be adjusted. Dynamics,
and adjusted
the
to what?
The dynamic has to be changed because it sounds in each hall and in another location it sounds differently. So like all the players have to forget what we did so far or amend it.
Because I heard Parsifal is a piece that you wanted to conduct for a long time here. Can you tell us what you think is very special about this piece?
It's Wagner's last opera. He was old already when he wrote it, in the end of his 60s. It is you could say that it's a climax, a culmination point of his work. It's the most refined of all his scores. Yeah. And it asks for a lot in melting and cooking the nicest colors and valeurs together. So for the orchestra, it is a dream to play this. And this scene, especially what we just did, is the most beautiful thing with all these flower maiden, these 6 soloists and the ladies' chorus embracing them. It is just a beautiful and a very seductive moment for Parsifal, and due to the music as well.
Well, I'm going to have a look at the iPad because viewers can ask their question. And Edwin asked earlier, which opera would you like to conduct in the future?
I hope that in the future it will be always a lot of Wagner and Strauss, because that's somehow the heart of our business, is where the orchestra and I really meet strongly together in the passion for this music, and there we always get special results.
Well, can you tell me what you think is so special about Wagner?
Well,
why are you such a big fan?
I was very early fascinated by Wagner, actually. When I was 10, 11 years, I followed my father, who was a conductor too, opera conductor. I followed him in all his rehearsals for the Ring des Nibelungen. There I was really starting then to get deeply into this thing very early. I played the things on the piano then. Wagner was always following me and I was following these works. So, and this fascination is still very strong.
Then.
Yeah.
Would you said you played piano? Did you ever consider becoming a pianist yourself?
Yeah, at some point, yes. But lately, I really discovered that the colors of an orchestra you can never imitate this on a piano. I couldn't. Yeah. And then I had to really throw myself into this.
Because when you start to practice for Parsifal, how do you prepare yourself?
I read the score again. I took a new one because I didn't like the edition which I was using 15 years ago. So it was great to have a total blank material again. I know the piece very well, but to really reconsider, to work it new and fresh. And I changed very a lot of details. So that was important.
So you start conducting in your own room or something? It's not something...
I don't practice conducting. That's maybe some other colleagues do, but I study the score very carefully for months and months, and since I was already doing this piece earlier, so it took me 2 months to get really all the details again.
Because when you have the musicians...
Can I say that is there something a bit complicated to understand, that a conductor would just open the score in his study room and read it. And I wait, while reading it, I wait as long as if I have clear meaning and inner hearing of all the details. And then is the moment to start conducting. Not earlier for me. No, this is the kind of preparation, but it's very silent.
So it takes
and long
a lot.
Process.
So we have a question from Harm. How is it to work together with Pierre Audi, the director?
Yeah, we did quite some Wagner together already. That's great. I especially enjoyed so much our Guru leader, 2 years ago. He is a stage director who always creates a lot of space for the music. So music has a lot to say in his production. So there's always a good balance between theater and music. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. I deeply adore this kind of decent and very inspired, but beautiful, but also simple staging. He's never really imposing his personality on the works. It's fantastic. So I like this setup. It's great for Parsifal. And he's really a very patient man. Patient, a certain patience you need for conducting Parsifal, it needs as well to be a long distance runner.
Yeah, because Parsifal is about 5 hours. Does it ever get physically challenging to stand?
Yes. Yeah.
I can imagine.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
You have to get used to it, let's say, the public as well, the players, the conductor, the singers. But all of us enjoy it very, very much. Even if it's going into the last hour, the last lap is very interesting and very strong, often.
Yeah. And also I have a question from Doris. Will the cast sing in German?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's no way to perform Parsifal in another language, honestly. I mean, often it's done in smaller theaters, but basically the sound and the music of the language itself is something which adds to the score. So we need the German language for that. Mm-hmm.
And just before you talked about that your love for classical music began very early.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about that period?
Yeah, well, I was bad in school. So much into music very early, so that I would have been really like often distracted by the usual schoolboys thing. I was actually a good football player as well, but music was my thing from the very first years, and all my early years with my father spending, talking, discussing, playing four hands piano. It was a big academy. I enjoyed it so much, so I had my formation in music very early. Yeah. And even
because
today,
you were 16, I read, when you start assisting your father, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I played quite some rehearsals for him. I even did some stage music. I played Parsifal, the backstage brass players. I was one of the trombone players 30 years ago.
So you can do that as well.
If I could.
Okay, I'm gonna have a look at the questions. Is working with Dutch musicians different than working with other nationalities?
Good question, because I deeply adore the kind of relaxed mode they are all in. I love that. They're focused, concentrating, and working hard, but all this with a smile. And I deeply like that, this kind of exchange and joy when we work together.
You don't see that joy often in the different countries, less, or?
It is special here, I think. Even going outside, it's raining, like raining dogs, and everybody on the bike smiling. I don't know how you do it, but it's possible.
Did you manage to smile on the bike when it rained?
I tried, really. I tried to catch up.
And another question, how do you see yourself in relation to the orchestra? Are you a member or are you their leader?
No, definitely not a member. As a conductor, it's a choice for your life. You have to accept that you are on the other side. And the orchestra members, they don't want me as a member, a colleague. I mean, we have a very friendly and very close relationship, I would say. We're working now together for many, many years already. But it has to be a certain, give and take. And I learn a lot from them. Yeah. And they do. Vice versa is something we are challenging in each other. So it's like something, bring the best out of everybody. And that's something, it needs a certain positive tension in this kind of relationship.
Does it ever get awkward that you're not part of... No?
I mean, sometimes when it's really going beautifully well, then I think sometimes, this would be great to participate in singing or playing, rather than, this doesn't make any sound.
Yeah.
It does, but
you're guiding the music with your hands.
Indirect way,
Yeah.
and this is playing is important for me. So even today, I play chamber music with my colleagues. There again, I would say colleagues, orchestra members, because we do some Brahms sessions and piano trios and so on. I like that. Okay. Playing is great.
And because you said when it's going well,
yeah.
It differs maybe. Does the audience have a certain impact on the vibe in the orchestra?
Quite much, actually.
Yeah?
You wouldn't believe how much, actually.
No.
It is. We feel it down in the pit, or in the concert hall. We feel immediately, like first 4 or 5 minutes, we know it is a special evening regarding the audience. You feel the vibes, you feel the way they concentrate, they are silent, and they really give a lot, and that's important for us too. I mean, a special performance cannot happen without a special public. So
it's not only the applauding that makes you...
later.
It's also the silence.
Yeah, it's the quality of the listening, and we really clearly feel it. Mm-hmm. It makes a big difference.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Let's see. What can the audience expect from this Parsifal?
Yeah, well, we have an excellent cast here, all experienced Wagner singers. Thou, Günther Greusberg doing Gurnemanns, the huge bass role for the first time in his life. That's an important debut, because he's one of the leading, already young, but already leading bass singers in this repertoire. Peter Lang, Chris Ventris, fantastic Wagner heroic singers in Bayreuth and other stages of the world. So this is a genuine Wagner cast, and with a genuine Wagner orchestra, I would say.
Yeah.
And a very passionate conductor about this thing.
Because now you're talking about the singers, and I was wondering, how do you do you connect with them during the performance? Because
with the singers?
Yes, because
sure.
The musicians can look you in the eye, but the performers are acting and looking at each other. How?
I think the most important thing is actually listening to each other. So for the singers as well, like singers would really listening to the orchestra, and the orchestra would really listening to the singer. And then it's from time to time there's a really tricky spot where they have to catch for a moment a good look, a catch of the eye, and then check. Okay, here we are, upbeat, and then new tempo. But that's, it is rare actually. We don't need that very often. No. This eye-to-eye contact. Mm-hmm.
And do the singers and the musicians also have a certain vibe with each other? That influences?
Surely they surely have. But I think it's not really a crucial point for having a nice show or not. If there's a great team spirit, sometimes you have that, and sometimes you miss that a little bit. But it doesn't really mean that the show would be less interesting or less great.
Because are you nervous for the premiere?
Normally 10 minutes before, because that's the moment where I change. I dress then in black, and this is always the moment where kind of stage fright is rising, and I like that. If it would not happen, I would feel it would feel odd. Actually, I need it. So at some point, hopefully late before we start.
And it's the same for every night.
Not every night. I mean, there is a certain interesting tension before premiere, obviously. But basically, I wait for this stage fright moment or Lampenfieber moment every day, every night, and hopefully it's always happening. It's always there. Then I can start.
Do you have certain routines before you?
I go see the singers. I actually do this kind of team building again. I want to hear if they feel well, if we are on the wave and ready to start. I do actually. I walk into the pit before everybody arrives, half hour before the show starts. I need the smell and the atmosphere of the theater. I go on stage even right before the performance starts to see the set, to see the curtain, and then I go down the pit. So check everything, or I take the atmosphere and the vibes there.
Let's see if we have another question.
Yeah.
We have a question from Emma. What was your favorite production at Dutch National Opera?
Good question.
Difficult, I think.
Difficult question, because there were so many great things, I would say.
Yeah.
Very special, because the piece was a big discovery for me, was this Rimsky-Korsakov Kitesh. We did this in my first season here, and it was a very beautiful production, and an unknown piece, late piece by Rimsky-Korsakov, very beautiful, often called the Russian Parsifal. And it was a very special run of performances. I loved that.
Cool. Well, Emma, I hope that is a question for an answer to your question. And Katerina asks, who is more difficult to control, the orchestra or the chorus?
I don't know, actually. It is different to work with them, because obviously then a chorus needs a strong concept from the stage director. The movements have to be really accorded to the music. I have to be there in these rehearsals to really adjust the tempi. It should be rehearsed action-wise. It should be rehearsed absolutely in the right tempi. So that's crucial. And then we go here on this day for the first time, chorus and orchestra hearing each other, and that has to match. So I prepared the orchestra. I prepared in short rehearsals, musically the choir. I was there when they rehearsed it cynically, and then finally it should match.
Yeah.
Orchestra is
So the
much
mingling
easier.
is the most difficult, maybe.
Orchestra is much easier to improvise. So because they're really all the time in contact, eye contact. So I could really do what I often do, because we played 8 times Parsifal. So means that it will be different every time a little bit. And I don't announce it, or I don't. I can't tell them before. It's just a thing which happens on the spot, and that's difficult with chorus to do.
And I have a question from Audrey. I just saw right now. What opera that you haven't conducted yet would you like to work on? I think we already.
More Russian repertoire. Actually, I'd really do Boris Godunov one time, Mussorgsky, as well as Lady Macbeth from Zansk, the Shostakovich. That would be interesting for me.
Cool. Let's see if we have more questions. Oh, we have the last question. I think the live stream is almost over. What do you think is your most important quality as a conductor? I'm sorry.
That's really impossible to answer.
What do people in the musicians tell you? Why do you like working with you?
I think I have the ability to, once it's all there, we rehearsed it, and then I can let it go and fly. And that's always important. Like improvising in a certain frame, what we did, clearly, but...
So some kind of trust that you give them.
Yes, and then I know that they would follow me anywhere, and we could really draw another line than the next evening.
Yeah.
And I feel free to do so, because I know that it'll be all right. And this is a great feeling, actually. And they feel that this kind of trust, mutual trust, is there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for cooperating.
It was a big pleasure.
Yeah, and you guys for watching. Thanks for your questions. And now I think we're gonna have a look at the trailer of the wonderful production Parsifal. See you later. Thanks.